Killer Radio. Slava Ukraini!
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you're having a good day. Nice to see you up there as co-host, Firefella, because, you know, apps are special these days. Apps are very, very special, and they keep screwing up. Good morning, Brent. I hope their afternoon, probably for you. I hope that you are doing well.
I am doing okay. I'm actually ready for a nap already, Prince, but I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
I just got up from a nap. I laid down at 7:30 p.m. and got up at 9:30. So yeah.
Nice. It's well. I'm sure you're about to give us a timestamp, but it's 3:30 here. Nice, nice mild winter's midwinter's afternoon. So it's a nice day. I've just been wrangling the neighbours' birds again, so that's got the blood flowing, which is good. I'll hand over to you for a timestamp, eh?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm living in the middle of a campfire, is what it feels like. It's, if you were
Don't
sitting
open the
around,
garage door.
huh?
Don't open the garage door.
I haven't in days.
Good. We'll lose you.
Yeah, no. I feel like we have, earlier today I read that we had the number one worst air quality in the world. So yay, that's fun. Which, for some place that always gets it really good, it's quite the change. But I seriously do feel like I'm living, you're sitting around a campfire and you're sitting in that spot where the smoke just blows right on your face. Anyway, and rumor has it we may get some relief tomorrow, but they said that about yesterday. So anyway, let's do a timestamp. It is Thursday, August 6th in most of the world, but not in all the world. So let's check out what time it is where. It is 7:03 a.m. in Machynlleth in Wales in the UK. In
Where? Hang on a minute. No, you're going to have to stop. Say that one again. Where?
Machynlleth.
Okay, I thought.
I'm leaving that
Yeah,
alone.
yeah. Brent, my ears went. What did she just say? Okay, fine. Crack on, Prince.
Yes, Machynlleth in Wales. Well, the Welsh language is it's special. Yeah. Anyway, and in Aspudden in Sweden, it is 8:03 a.m. It is 9:03 a.m. at the pirate ship in Ukraine. And there today is the feast of the not like you guys care, but the feast of the Transfiguration of our Lord. And there is big, huge outdoor divine liturgy that just started. That's happening in Ivano-Frankivsk right now, Kiev, which is where the pirate ship is. Anyway, at the Kinki University in the Osaka, Japan area, it is 3:04 p.m. It is 3:34 p.m. in Paradise, Australia, as Brent already told us. In Jackass Flat, Australia, it is 4:04 p.m. On PP Island in Newfoundland, it is 3:34 a.m. And in Punky Doodle's Corners, Ontario, it is 2:04 p.m. Then in let's see, Hooker, Oklahoma, it is 1:05 a.m. And in Westward Ho, Alberta, Canada, it is 12:05 a.m. Here in the Pacific Northwest, where I've already complained about it, in Tillicum, Washington. Washington. It is 11:05 p.m. And then in Unalaska, Alaska, the most Alaska place you could ever imagine is Unalaska, Alaska. It is currently 10:05 p.m. Alaska, where Sarah Palin can see Russia from her house, an eagle and a fox have had a chat together very calmly and politely on a picnic table in Unalaska recently. And why isn't anybody asking why is there a place in Alaska called Unalaska? Anyway, with that, here's our timestamp. I will stuff your nest and fire fella Brent, take it away.
Thank you very much, Prince. G'day, fire fella. Hope you're well. Welcome to Booms Woe, everybody. The Mockerless edition, so you won't get Mocker's famous stream of consciousness today, but we will do our best to keep you informed on what's been happening over the last 24 hours or so, and just been looking at what's been going on and looking at the obviously now that the dust has settled and initially that big attack on Kiev yesterday, we're starting to see what we normally see from the media. Sort of initially, there's a lot of FUD, and it takes a little while for the media to settle down and for accurate and more measured commentary to come out of these things or the aftermath of these things. So it's been interesting to see some of the reporting. Firefly, I'm not sure. I know that there was another. I think there was another attack overnight. I don't know whether Kiev was the focus. I think it was a little bit more widespread. I'm not sure whether you've had a chance to look at that or not, mate.
No, in a word, I've only just woken up and running around trying to find stuff. So where I was going to start, there's something that was reported yesterday about an attack. Who's got an open mic? All right. An attack on an Antonov at an airport. You want to go with that first?
Oh yeah, I did see that story. Yeah, go for it, mate. If you've got you got an article there in front of you, that'd be a good place to start.
Hang on. Stick with me, people. Oh, right, here we go. Right. So the reports are piling up by now, as it turns out. Apparently, an heroic tour guide from Leipzig may not have saved just the Ukrainian Antonov, but NATO itself. But that's not all. While the drone was down by a tour guide, I don't understand that little bit, and it's from Germany, so the translation is thing. So obviously somebody's knocked a drone down in the airport. On the ground, a DHL cargo plane had just taken off, collided 6 kilometers from Leipzig airport at an altitude of 400 meters with another unidentified flying object. Well, it won't be unidentified, it'll be a drone, for Christ's sake. Bild reported that the aircraft landed safely at Hanover Airport, where minor damage was discovered in the nose area. The police are now investigating on suspicion of state security offence and are not ruling out sabotage. Well, there's a thing. 400 meters altitude. If it turns out that the object was at 400 meters, was also a drone. No one can credibly now claim that they were just flying a regular Bobby device around an airport for a bit. For that, either security restrictions, which I'm sure that they were all implemented quite a while ago now, have been bypassed. A correspondingly configured device deployed or drone specifically built for the purpose. Whether the two incidents are connected remains unclear. But we're not talking about a single drone, but a coordinated attack on one of Europe's most important cargo and NATO's logistical hubs. There's the thing. The aircraft saved by the tour guide belongs to the Strategic Airlift Interim Solutions, SALIS. Multiple NATO states use them to transport heavy equipment and material, including to the multinational combat units on the eastern flank. In other words, the drone wasn't just hovering next to some Ukrainian cargo plane. It was in the immediate vicinity of a nerve center of European military logistics. If one of the Antonovs had been destroyed, it wouldn't have hit just Ukraine. It would have simultaneously damaged a NATO transport capacity that's hard to replace. And that's where there may have been even more dire perilous suspicion is reported by Welch. The explosive is said not to have just a nitrate containing explosive subject as initially reported, but Semtex, a high-powered plastic explosive. Anyone who now tries to downplay the incident, sweep it under the rug, or soften it linguistically out of fear of verbal escalation is not practicing prudence. They're just helping ensure that Europe continues to repress the seriousness of the situation. When a plastic explosive is allegedly deposited next to strategically vital NATO transfer aircraft at a German airport, silence is no longer de escalation. It's negligence towards European security. I couldn't agree more.
Uh,
Go
Yeah,
on.
mate. I read this as a potential assassination attempt, and the assassination attempt was apparently on the CEO of a German drone manufacturer called Donnerstahl. I think that looks like how it's pronounced. Um, and it probably would have worked if the detonator had not failed. That's what I'm reading, mate. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so I'm going to go with. I remember at the time, quite a while ago, myself and Mockers were talking about, and there were all these drones flying around all sorts of different airports, wasn't it, in Europe, and everybody was saying, "Oh, it's just it's just people throwing up drones." The flip flop, it was people. Europe, and include, and when I say Europe, I always include the UK. We have a problem, people. Uh, like, stop thinking it's just kids having fun. It ain't. It's the Russians playing silly buggers. Well, not playing silly buggers, trying to get into our heads, and they are actually doing it. And if you've got a drone, I don't care what sort of drone, landed on an airport apron next to any sort of military transport, then Europe, it's about time we, excuse me, vernacular's coming out. It's about time we fucking woke up and sorted stuff out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, mate. And the article I'm looking at now, things may have changed because this article's about 12 hours old. But the article I'm looking at is has highlighted the point that nothing has come out of the German government yet. So nothing has come from Merz's office. That may have changed recently. If anyone knows anything more recent, perhaps they've come out and they've made a statement, or I haven't seen anything along those lines. But yeah, the question is, well, Germany, what are you gonna say anything? You gonna do anything? So the question, I'm looking at a post from Jürgen Naudit, and Jürgen Naudit is reporting on the fact that there was a drone attack in Leipzig and an assassination attempt on the CEO of this drone company. And the question to Chancellor Merz is, well, what now, Chancellor? What are you going to do? Um, and as I said, I don't know if you've got any more recent info, Firefella, but I haven't seen anything from the German government yet. There may have been.
Sorry, just sorting a quest out. So we'll know what Germany will do, mate. They'll do absolutely chip chop. Hang on, I'm trying to get Bloke up here. Oh, there you go. He's up. Bloke, you got your hand up. Go ahead, sir.
I didn't want to interrupt the conversation, so let it flow. But I was going to had a question about SAMPs afterwards,
Yeah,
unless you guys were done.
no,
No,
go for it, mate. I
no.
think the way we're going to play today is that try to get to a little bit more because we don't have that famous stream of consciousness with us today. Try to get a little bit more interactivity going on today's booms and woes. So yeah, go for it, bloke.
Oh, this is Mockers is usually around. Okay, okay. Yeah, my question is about SMT. So, in terms of air defense, I mean, we know that Ukraine needs to be supported much more forcefully. We're hoping that could be done with transfers of you know from NATO countries. By the way, can everyone hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yep, loud and clear.
Yeah, we know there were supposed to be transfers of Patriots. And so my question is, what have the French done with SAMP? Like last time I looked it up, uh, they were in talks and they were planning on delivering. And has that really taken on the urgency that that it should have been? Does anyone know about that?
I'll tell you what I do know. I know that Ukraine desperately need, stating the obvious here, I think we all know this, Ukraine desperately needs something that can counter, or that has a chance of countering these ballistic attacks, because I think we know it's pretty clear that this is Russia's tactic. It's early days, but it's proving to be successful. There's no reason to believe that they're not going to continue to do this, because it's being successful. It's pretty obvious to everybody, obviously, especially the Russians, that Ukraine are struggling to have any platforms to counter the ballistics, and SAMP-T, particularly the NG, the improved version of the SAMP-T is potentially one that can step in, perhaps not with the same success
But what
rate
about
as.
the deliveries? They've been discussing it for
Yeah,
two.
yeah, I don't know. I know that there was an issue similar to the PAC-3 interceptors. I believe there was also, and correct me if I'm wrong here, anyone that's listening and knows, has more recent info. There was an issue with the Asta interceptors, and getting them produced. I think that was and remains an issue, bloke. Um, I know that there were some. I'm just looking at an article now as we speak, and there have been a few promises, haven't there? I'm just looking to see if there's more updated information, and I'm not seeing anything.
No,
Yes,
I
they
mean,
got.
like, I'm not going to make you look anything up. I just wondered if you knew it off the top of your
No,
head. Like,
no,
yeah,
no, no, I
yeah.
don't. I know that. What I do know is that that's an alternative, right? I mean, Ukraine desperately needs a solution, an alternative solution to counter these ballistic missiles, and SAMT is potentially one of them, right? I mean, obviously they're working on their own indigenous platform as well. We're aware of that. In the interim, while that's being developed, SAMT is an option in terms of dates, in terms of what's been promised, in terms of whether any promises that have been made are on track for delivery, or whether they're running behind. I don't know, and I'm obviously not prepared to guess. Firefella, do you know anything about this?
Yeah, so I'm just going to talk about a couple of things in a minute, but just a general comment. So everybody concentrates on PAC-2 and PAC-3 Patriot missiles, and whilst they're very, very good people, it's not the be-all and end-all of Ukraine's defense strategy. What they need is every single type of missile, so short range, medium range, and long range, and that's what they're trying to get now. But in the background, like we've just stated, um, so a couple of things. I'll do this first. So Ukraine found its bottleneck and now may have to fix it. Talking about the FP5 Flamingo has long relied on an aging Soviet A-25 engine, a supply shrinking faster than Russia's fuel reserves. New reports suggest that it's now integrating a British-made pump chest turbojet engines into the latest variants. This means higher production rates, reduced dependence on Soviet leftovers, long-term sustainability for Ukraine's long-term strike program. I.e., we can't be like fixing it. It's not a short fix thing. Flamingo has already proved Ukraine can build precision long-range missiles capable of hitting Russia deep inside its uh, boundaries. With an engine production shift from limited batches to steady industrial output now. Defense observers see this as a meaningful step towards an expanded domestic manufacturing capability. Exactly what Ukraine needs as deemed for long range capability keeps rising, keeps rising. Soviet engines were done. Ukraine, great, we'll take British ones. Russia, this feels concerning. In short, the engine transition could become Flamingo's turbo literally and strategically. And the good thing about the Flamingo is the way they've built the missile is you just take out the old Soviet ones and strap the new British ones on. Now, going on from that slightly, let me see if done this right. No, I have.
By the way, that's brilliant. Great.
Right, so hang on, no, just kidding. So Ukraine's solution to ballistic missiles is not missile defense. It is developing its own missiles. You cannot stop Russia by playing defensively. I totally agree with that. So this is from Andrew Perpetri. You have to bring the fight to the Russian manufacturing and energy grid. You need the missiles to destroy the turbine rooms of power plants, one after another, to bring the grid to its knees. You need to attack their ballistic missiles manufacturing bases. Russia has spent a tremendous amount of resources slowing down Ukraine missile development. They are completely and utterly terrified of Ukraine developing and fielding their own homemade weapons. Everyone knows that once Ukraine can field sufficient numbers of these ballistic missiles, Russia's ability to wage war on Ukraine will end. It will be everybody's primary objective, and frankly, more money should be devoted to this since the day Russia invaded, if not earlier. Russia can play the war of attrition, sending useless peasants to die. They cannot play the war of attrition of having their industrial base erased one city at a time, which is exactly what the Flamingo is intended to do. Does that better answer your question, Brent? Go ahead, mate.
Oh my God! I hate being right, but I remember discussing this in January and February, and I said that these strikes are going to be sleepers. It's compound interest; it'll accumulate over time. But going after the Russian jugular, their manufacturing base, their energy base, was absolutely brilliant strategy from that point of view. And I don't know what's going on in Ukraine politically, but whoever did that strategy is the person that needs to be in charge because that's how Ukraine will win the war. And I'm confident they will at this point. If, I see Mockers is down below, and yeah, we've been discussing this for a couple of months. It'll be uh, great when the Russians are forced to capitulate because they can't feed their own people. And I don't think everyone understands how precarious their situation is. They cannot defend their landmass is actually indefensible in that sense. There are already stories coming out of very remote areas of Russia that are will have no fuel for the winter, right? And there will be problems. So that's the way to force the capitulation. And I think the Ukrainians are doing it. The only thing that gets me really angry right now is that we are not supplying. I mean, I've been angry since 2022. We haven't been supplying Ukraine with what they need to end this quicker without costing so many needless Ukrainian lives, right? And I mean, the only answer to this is to kick Russia's ass back to Russia. They can go and build toilets or do whatever the fuck they want to do, but stay out of everyone else's country. That's the way this ends. And to do that, you have to force the capitulation, where they're going to have to actually figure out how to not starve or freeze in the dark. That's how you defeat Russia. Anyway, sorry, I've been pontificating too much.
No, that's fine, Blake. No problem at all. And just getting back to your SAMT question, I can tell you that the commitment is that 8 systems are going to be the commitment is to supply 8 systems in October, along with Aster 30 missiles. Looking for a number. I can't see a number, but that's good news. Now that's the SAMP-T, not the SAMP-TNG. The SAMP-TNG, the commitment there from France is they'll start deploying the NG, and that's really the one that has a much, apparently, we'll see, has a much better success rate with ballistics. That's going to start deploying in 2027. A big part of that, and the reason why that does so much better with ballistics is it's got a vastly improved radar, tracking radar, and I think that's the hold up for that particular NG system. So so the latest news is that will be ready and start deploying in 2027. But August, September, October. So in 2 months' time, we Ukraine should receive 8 SAMP-T complexes, and that's the complex, with radar launchers, tracking radar, and an unspecified number of Aster-30 missiles. So that we will see what that does too. I mean, that's part of the solution. The other part of the solution is obviously what you and Firefellow were just discussing, right? Hit them at the source. So I think between the two, that should that will hopefully put Ukraine in a much better position, and then let's hope that we can avoid nights like Kiev went through the night before last. Firefellow.
Absolutely, Brent. And just to put the icing on the cake on the NG, which is next generation, so it's SAMT NG next generation, people. It's actually in theatre at the moment, and they are currently testing it. And all the results are saying it's really, really good. Except they're trying to tweak it, as only the Ukrainians can do. I mean, they took Patriot and then 6 months later they turned around and told the Americans how they should be using it, not how they use it. So it's currently in test in Ukraine, and as you've just said, that'll come after the 8 arrive in October this year. But all good looking. But again, it's a bit further down the line. So that's where they are with that at the moment.
By
Anyway,
the way, if I could just add one thing, anyone who doesn't collaborate with the Ukrainians and what they're learning is a fucking idiot. So I'm really happy that we're hosting joint exercises with the Brits. I don't know who else is involved yet, but definitely the Brits in Canada, and it'll be permanent to practice drone warfare. I think that's outstanding, and advised by the Ukrainians. Yeah, that's just about perfect.
Yeah, that attack on Kiev yesterday. There are 115 drones. I'm not. I don't know. I know it was in the Air Force report. I haven't got it in front of me how many drones were taken down, but 24 ballistic missiles. All 24 of those missiles found their targets. That's a problem, obviously, and that's I think a combination of hitting the archers and and getting another system in place, which obviously we're talking about the SAMPTs now. I've also heard separately that they may have found some PAC-3 interceptors. I'm trying to think of the country that said that they had some PAC-3. Was it Germany that said that they might have some PAC-3s that they could let Ukraine
yeah,
have?
it was
It was Germany. Can you recall how many? Are we talking like a dozen, Firefellow, or are we talking like a
no
meaningful number?
tw 20 tops, I think it was.
20.
And when Mockers and I discussed it yesterday, I'm of the opinion. I don't know about you, Brent. Every country in the world has got these bloody things, and they're in their warehouses at the moment, and they're keeping them on the auspices of, when we need them, should we get attacked? The flip flop, anyone's getting attacked, people. Just send everything you got to Ukraine, and then there'll be an argument with the Yanks. Well, just tell the Yanks to foxtrot Oscar at this stage, because I'm like Mockers. Enough is a fucking enough, people. We can't have Kyiv attack like that and 24 missiles hitting their target. That's just it's well.
Look,
Oh,
if anyone needs to keep their temper, we do. Just I think it'll be fine. I think what we have to focus on right now is, as allies to Ukraine, is to put the maximum pressure we can on our, politicians. This is a multinational group. It actually makes a difference when you phone your MP or you write your MP. Don't do it every week, but do it um,
every day.
regularly. Right now, yeah, exactly. Like, you just put the pressure on, and Europe could have done more. I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like, what a waste of time. But right now, we can make a difference by supporting Ukraine with air defense. And I think that's the most critical piece right now that needs to be addressed. Personal opinion.
It's interesting, right? Because you talk about sort of the governments, the US government, governments in Europe being short-sighted. This war's been going on for 5 years, 5 years, certainly, yeah, well, into the fifth year nearly, and and yet we've got it. There are companies that make these things that could be putting on additional shifts. They could be expanding their production facilities. Yeah,
Yeah, that's one of the super disappointing things about this is
yeah,
the European expansion of production. Although they have done well with artillery shells, fair enough. Uh, it's nowhere near a war, right? Like Europe's response has been actually quite pathetic, in my opinion, right? Like just no disrespect, but like it hasn't been that good. You have countries that get it, like Poland and Finland and so forth. But put it this way: have you ever heard the term, put it through a committee and then nothing will get done? That's my concern with Europe right now.
oh yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, the fundamental issue here. I mean, having worked for a couple of the bigger defence contractors, that they're not going to build stuff unless they've got orders. They're not going to build.
Absolutely, we could be doing much more,
Yeah,
right? But yeah.
yeah, and look, and we're even the US now are seeing. I was reading an article earlier. The US is seeing shortages in ATACMS, and they're seeing shortages in the PRSMs, the upgrade to the ATACMS. Because guess what? They've been in a war for the last 5 months against Iran, and they've used all of their stockpiles, or well, most of their stockpiles in that war, and they haven't. Presumably, they haven't had the foresight to order more. so 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 you've got the US depleting their own stockpiles. You've got contractors that are probably almost certainly sitting there saying, "Hey, we've got capacity to build. Give us an order, and we'll build more for you." And I mean, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? But it just doesn't make a lot of sense. N-
Yeah, and what's outstanding about this, absolutely outstanding about this, is Ukraine's capacity to innovate, which has been, they were literally, I mean, when you're fighting for your own neck, it's going to breed innovation. But I mean, what Ukraine has been able to accomplish in drone warfare, and I mean, they had a massive, monumental task on their hands. Like I'm going to skip everything to do with the military, but just adapting to how to defeat Russia. They've done that better than I wonder if many Western countries would be capable of that. Right? The amount of innovation we've seen out of Ukraine is outstanding. So. I think they will look. This winter is going to be really hard. It really depends on getting proper support from Europe, and I think at this point we can't rely on anything coming out of Washington. That's just the sad state of affairs, I'm afraid to say. But it really depends on Europe right now, and I hope the committee will come up with an answer to that relatively quickly. Thank you, by the way, for saying looking it up and saying that deliveries in October. That's perfect, actually. I mean, obviously, yesterday would have been better, and 3 months ago would have been better, but getting them there before the winter, I think, will be crucial because everyone underestimates, like I said, compound interest. Everyone underestimates how difficult this winter will be for the Russians. Because of the fuel crisis, it's actually affecting their agriculture as well, right? And they're running out of money. So people underestimate the amount of damage Ukraine is doing to a country that is like, 10 times the size, right? Like more than that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and every day, they're hitting refineries. They're hitting. Obviously, we've seen the wild berries in the ozone. Um,
I mean, it's pure jugular. Go after the source of revenue first. Let that accumulate because these strikes take a long accumulative effect over time, and then wait till the winter, and then go after the substations and the gas delivery pipelines. That's what I would do.
yeah, the other. I agree, mate. I agree. Just to draw a line under that at ATACMS shortage that I was talking about before. There is a cunning plan in place apparently, and that cunning plan is that the US, and this would be Lockheed Martin specifically, they build the ATACMS. They've been given approval to work with Rheinmetall, is what I've been reading, and Rheinmetall are going to be given a license to produce ATACMS in Germany for European needs, and that is going to kill two birds with one stone in theory, because that's going to then free up Lockheed Martin's production facilities in the US to work on the modernized ATACMS, which is the PRSM. So that's the plan. They have a plan to address those two missiles. We'll see if it's implemented quickly, because we need we need that to happen. But at least they're thinking about it, bloke. So that's something. Fire fella.
No, anything more on interceptors and stuff like that, bloke? Or can we move on?
Yeah, sorry, I can't see hands, so I don't know if I've been monopolizing the conversation, and if
No,
so, I apologize. But nice to make your acquaintance, both of you. Uh, I'm interested in Ukraine, and I've been around for a while, so thank you very much for running this space. It's great. I rarely get a chance to talk directly about the subject, and I really appreciate it. So you guys are doing great work. Keep it up. Thank you.
it's our pleasure, bloke, and please come back. Zdenka, you got your hand up, sweet. Go ahead.
Hi, Firefella. Hi, Brent. I just want to read something I've just read in The Guardian. So, The Guardian is reporting that Ukraine could benefit from a Lockheed Martin project to build a new, lower cost Patriot interceptor, the PAC-3 adapted capability, the ACE missile. It's been reported by Reuters, and they cite defense and US government sources. They say that despite Donald Trump casting doubt on a deal for Ukraine, no direct order has been given to halt discussions, and talks have continued with US arms manufacturers, military officials, and others. And then there's another note saying that obviously production will still take some time. It might take a year or more to come to fruition, but it'll be a cheaper, different, a newer model of the Patriot PAC-3. I thought that was useful. Back to you.
Thanks, Ed. Yeah, I did see that in passing. I think it's about $2 million a pop, as opposed to $4 to $5 million a pop. I think I'm just trying to find. Got about 60 tabs open here.
Oh, it says
But
that it'll cost less than half.
yeah, okay. But there was no time frame. You were saying.
Um, well, it could take a year or more to come to fruition.
Yeah, that's yeah. I mean, it is what it is, right? I mean, we look at what happened in Kiev, sort of with despair, right? Because I can't imagine being in that city, either as a resident or as a defender, and knowing that these things are coming in, knowing you've got what 2, 3, 4 minutes, sort of transit time, and there's nothing you can do to counter them. Yeah, it's I don't have. I heard Mocker's frustration talking about it yesterday, and I, yeah, totally agree. Firefella, it must be horrific being a resident of Kyiv, knowing that, particularly that civilian sites, apartment buildings and, that sort of thing are being targeted. And at least at the moment, there's very little that the armed forces of Ukraine can do about it. Or, I mean, all you can do is try to get yourself to a safe place as quickly as possible. And that's, and it's all well and good to say, well, these missiles are a year away. But that's a year. That's a lot of nights, a lot of days, and a lot of nights where Russia can continue these ballistic attacks. And it's pathetic, really. It's absolutely pathetic. I was reading about the North Korea. North Korea have entered the chat, right? So North Korea have it was announced that they're going to provide at least 120 ballistic missiles plus people to actually operate these complexes, right? So 120 ballistic missiles, plus I think I had a number here, at least 90 missileers, so at least 90 servicemen to operate them. And they're going to be deployed to the Voronezh region, which is just across the border, to absolutely minimise the travel time and, the amount of warning that Ukrainian residents will get. And they're in the process of being deployed. Some may already be deployed. I was reading on ISW, and ISW have assessed that this particular move, this arrangement with North Korea, is going to allow Russia to intensify their ongoing ballistic missile strikes. Obviously, they're seeing how successful they're being. But it's going to allow them to continue those, at a frequency that Russia on their own wouldn't be able to do because they can't produce them quickly enough. But they're going to be able to continue these ballistic missile strikes without depleting their own S-400 and Zircon missile stocks. So while they have North Korea firing their own ballistic missiles at Ukraine, Russia will continue, unless Ukraine obviously attack the facilities where these things are being assembled. Russia will continue to build up their stocks of S-400 and Zircon missiles, I guess, until North Korea deplete their their ballistic missile stocks, and then Russia will have a nice healthy supply to continue the attacks. So I read this and I think, okay, so we've got North Korean troops in Russia at Russia's invitation, firing North Korean ballistic missiles at Ukrainian targets just across the border in Russia. So, what, 2-3 minute transit time, depending on,
Two,
on
2 minute
what,
warning.
yeah. Um, how is, you know, how is North Korea not at war with Ukraine? You've got North Korean troops with firing North Korean ballistic missiles at Russia's invitation at Ukrainian cities. How is North Korea not at war with Ukraine? And where is, well, where is the UN on this? Like, I'm not hearing too much out of them. And where is the media? Where is the media on this? North
Yeah, well done,
Korea
Brent.
have effectively declared bloody war on Ukraine without declaring war on Ukraine, apparently, because nothing's been said. If this isn't North Korea being at war with Ukraine, I'm not sure how else to describe it, Firefella.
Brent, you've hit the nail on the head, mate. So I do believe that some of those missiles the other night were North Korean, and there you have it. And the world is going, oh yeah, that's all right. It's fine to have, non-Russian troops firing at Ukraine, and everybody not a fucking peep out of anyone. Oh, it's fine. And I believe there's 10,000, up to 10,000 North Koreans in Russia at the moment, or will be very shortly. So they are at war, and nobody's talking about it. Not a sausage out of anyone.
I haven't
Flabbergasted.
heard anything, mate. Now look, it could be that some conversations are happening at the UN or in other bodies. I haven't seen any reporting on it though. And it honestly Like coming back up here, it does my head in. We all just seem to be sitting around. Well, I'm talking about, like heads of state mainly, and obviously the media. They're complicit. They're not talking about it. Bloke, where you go?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that these things are incredibly interrelated, right? Regardless of what anyone's opinions are, Iran, Venezuela, and Russia were intimately connected to the point where Hezbollah had a fucking island in Venezuela, and they were all trading. Sort of, you know, three spokes in a wheel, right? Like we're um, so. Uh, Iran is related to Russia. If we weaken Iran, we weaken Russia, and vice versa. And the same is true of, I think Venezuela is like the Venezuelan people, I'm hoping, will sort that out for themselves. That's my hope. Um, but the amount of collaboration between dictators, I think, is something that we underestimate. And so I don't understand why anyone is surprised that North Korea is sending, ballistic missile support, for to Russia to kill Ukrainians, because it is part of the same idea that dictatorships will support each other until they want to kill each other, but they will support each other in order to undermine the West. And I, I think that these sorts of interconnections are, you know, underappreciated in the media reporting that I've seen.
It's the thanks, Blake. It's the collective paralysis that is doing my head in right now. This to me, this is the sort of action that would, that should justify, emergency meetings of the Security Council. That should, because we've essentially got, um, a war between Russia and Ukraine, effectively turning into, well, is it a world war? It's we've got
No, no
North.
way. It's the line at which we draw our defense of democracy. That's my opinion, right? Like I think that you know at some point, the only thing to understand is that authoritarian dictatorships of any description, and we can go through a long list, will only be defeated when confronted. And this is the problem in the West. We project our values onto other countries and assume they will behave like we think we should, right? And that's illogical, which is why it's such a joke to see people trying to negotiate with Russia or Iran or any other authoritarian dictatorship. Uh, it's a projection of Western values on people who think we're idiots. We have been down this road before. For you know, uh, in the case of Russia, in recent history, since the dissolution of the Soviet Union, like we've seen Chechnya 1 and 2, and like we've seen this happen over and over again with Crimea, etc. We see every treaty broken, and the problem with the West is that we project our values onto them and say, well, that if we make a deal, it'll stick, or if we show enough negative consequences, they will understand. And that's not how dictatorships work. They work because the dictator doesn't care the amount of suffering that the people undergo. In the case of Russia, 1 million casualties is no problem. In the case of Iran, 60,000 people slaughtered in the streets is absolutely acceptable. We have to understand the enemy that we're facing and not assume they think like us. And that's the big problem with the West right now, in my opinion.
I think that I wonder what it's going to take. We are repeating the mistakes of history. I mean, I know we've had these conversations many times, but history is repeating itself. Ukraine has allies Ukraine has allies that are prepared to supply equipment where that equipment is available, and that's increasingly becoming an issue. But they're not prepared to go any further, and I wonder what it's going to take. I wonder how many massive attacks on Kyiv and Odessa and other cities in Ukraine have to happen. I wonder how many atrocities have to occur before a France, before a Germany, before a UK, you know before another country stands up and says,
Understands that they're next.
yeah, absolutely, and actually becomes more actively involved.
I mean,
Becomes.
this is why the Poles and the Finns in particular are so fucking well armed, right? They've encountered this before. They understand it. They've had a generation that has been bouncing on their parents' knees, and it's been explained to them. And this is something that we've not understood in the West, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's frustrating, Blake. Firefella, you got any thoughts on this?
Well, only to just totally agree with everything and every little poke at the West. I mean, let's just take the drone on the tarmac. What's happening? Absolutely nothing. We're all trying to ignore it because our politicians are inept and they don't see it like we see it. And as long as that reigns, our response will be limp. Let's put it that way. Whereas in actual fact, we should be emptying our stocks over there and sending Ukraine everything they need. NATO should have shut the airspace down long ago, but it's not just not going to happen.
No, no, and yeah. Look, you wonder what more Ukraine can do. It's and I think what they're doing is good. The strategy of that they'll continue to
Oh,
hit.
they will win, but they will win despite us.
Yeah, they will win, but they will win absolutely. Yes, Ukraine will win, but again, it comes back to it down to at what cost. And it's going to be
Exactly.
at a much higher cost than it needs to be because of the.
And that's down to us.
Absolutely, yeah, it is. Everyone's sort of standing around, and as you say, Blake, people are obviously they're looking at their own stockpiles and sort of inventory and making sure that we're all right. We're going to be okay if Russia turns their gaze towards us, or a combination of Russia and North Korea and maybe Iran and heaven forbid China. If this thing were to escalate, and let's hope it never gets to that point, but if it, obviously that is one of the considerations that these countries are obviously factoring in when they're looking at their own missile stockpiles and
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah,
And
but if could I just jump in to say that it is this fear of escalation that has actually made it worse?
yeah, go for it.
Um, um, I think it is our fear of escalation that has, the the strategy over the past 40 years has been to kick the can down the road and let the next government deal with it. And that's how we did these, that's how we signed the Budapest memorandum, for example, right? Like it was just the idea that this problem could just be contained or delayed. And that's the weakness in um, our ability to see the problem that we face. Again, projecting Western values onto um, countries that share no values with us, right? Um, so,
Bloke, you're absolutely right. In successive governments in every single of the European allies, the question has been, we're not at war with anyone. Yes, we're in NATO, so we're protected, so we can save some money. And little by little, they've reduced their defence budgets year on year.
oh,
And
we
they've
were the worst offenders. We were
no, 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 no,
worse than you guys,
no, but bloke, it's been a collective argument, hasn't it? And they then present that to their people as savings. Well, yeah, it is savings, but when you want to actually go to war with anybody, you got no defence industry, have you? And you're fucked, as they are quite clearly finding out now. Hence why it's taken Europe so long to turn the ship round and to start reinvesting in their defence industries, because actually this stuff takes time to produce, as we're all finding out day by day. Brent, I'll come on to that a bit later, but that was just my thought on it.
And
A
by the
really
way, I
good point,
can't
Blake.
see any hands up. So if I jump in, it's because I literally can't see hands. So I apologize
No,
if I'm
But,
interrupting anyone.
no, you're absolutely fine, Blake.
yeah,
Don't worry about it.
yeah, Blake, I can't see a single hand at the moment. So if you've got some thoughts in your head that you want to get off your chest, I think right now is a brilliant time to do it.
I think I'm ranting. So like, we'll continue the rant. Uh, but yeah, the deindustrialization of the West has also been a problem. And what's really interesting about this is if you look at the Soviet Union had infiltrated the Green Party, and part of the reason that there's been you understand the dependence on Russian natural gas, et cetera, right? And how there was cheap energy to run Europe's industries. And they decommissioned, I mean, Germany is a case study in what not to do, right? Like to make yourself dependent on a dictator. And yeah, I think history will judge Angela Merkel and, oh my God, Schroeder, uh, as like people who have literally deindustrialized Europe to the strength of dictatorships. And at some point, there will be a reckoning. The good news is that I think that the reckoning will be on the other side because their populations don't support them because they have no choice, right? So, and there are fundamental flaws in authoritarian dictatorships, like we can see with Russia, where everyone lies. There's a low trust environment, and that's why they will never win with Ukraine. It's impossible. Um, their biggest fear was actually Ukraine being successful, because that would call into question the entire sort of social contract they made that, you stay out of politics, do your stuff, and we'll build you toilets and just keep your mouth shut. That contract, I think, is starting to fray with Russians. So we'll see what happens. But again, I circle back to the point I tried to make earlier, with Mockers, actually, who has her hands up, so I will defer. Um, the strikes on the undermining of the Russian economy over time was the sleeper. Everyone underestimated that, in my opinion. I should be shutting up right now, Mockers, right?
Thank you, bloke. Leave it there. Stand by your beds, everyone. Mockers.
Well, I just wanted to add, sorry, I feel really sick, so that's why I haven't come up and talked yet, because I'm trying my best not to vomit. I'm supposed to be in the office today, so I know what's going on. It's just anxiety driving me crazy. But escalation. Are North Korean troops fighting for Russia, firing their own missiles at Ukraine, getting that training in? Is that not escalation?
Yeah, it is, and but we don't seem to be doing anything about it. I had a bit of a look, and it has been raised in the UN. North Korea's involvement, but of course, the UN's fundamentally flawed. The Security Council, specifically, because Russia has veto power. So how's that going to work? So uh, sanctions would be.
We just pick them the fuck out. Can't we just do that?
Yeah, look, I agree. There's definitely an argument that the UN needs to be, you know, wipe the blackboard clean, start again. This whole veto power thing is it's just not working. It's not in the current geopolitical environment. It's actually working against uh, achieving a peaceful world, right? Because the protagonists, the troublemakers, in particular Russia, they've got veto power. So Russia can say, "Hey, North Korea, come and come and join the party." We can all get up in arms about it and protest and complain, but with Russia's veto power, it just doesn't go anywhere, Mockers. So I agree. There needs to be another way, because it isn't going to be through the UN.
Couldn't agree
Yeah,
more, Mockers. Sorry, go on,
I'm
Mockers.
I'm just sick of all this, fear of escalation, fear of escalation. But when Russia escalates, we kind of just go, meh, And the same with what you were saying about that bomb on the tarmac, right? That wasn't just next to a Ukrainian plane, a Ukrainian heavy lift. That heavy lift was servicing NATO. So that was actually an attack on NATO. Had that tour operator or tour guide, whatever he was, had not seen it, there would have been an attack on NATO, and we would have ignored that as well, as much as we're ignoring the, possibility of it happening. That guy literally is some sort of, unexpected hero, that he saved a NATO facility from being attacked. And here we are, just like, yeah, it's no big deal. We'll just downplay that as much as possible, because, we wouldn't like to get involved in anything that might mean us having to do something. Goodness, no. It's honestly pathetic.
Yeah, look, yeah, I agree, Mark, because it is pathetic, and at the moment you've got Ukraine essentially carrying Europe on its back, I mean that's a lot to ask. And not only are Ukraine being asked to carry Europe on its back, they're being asked to do it with the minimal amount of support in terms of equipment. I would love to be able to help you out with something to counter those ballistic missiles, but yeah, look, we can't put on an extra shift. We're not prepared to issue licenses to other companies to increase production. We're not. You guys are developing your own system. How far away is that? We'll just wait. We'll just wait for that to happen. Hopefully you can hold off until then. That's what sort of response is that? It honestly but
Brent,
Firefella, go.
it's the response the Russians expect, because they have been playing this game for 40 years, and for 40 years, or longer than that, we've been stuck in our little silos going, oh no, don't prod the bear. How many times has everybody heard that? Well, I'm sorry, people. We're past prodding fucking bears. We should be shooting the bastard straight between the eyes, because enough is enough. And I'm with Mockers now. It's just, if people can't see it, if politicians can't see it, sending 10, 20, 30,000 North Korean troops and their missiles into Russia is not escalation. So then I don't know what the chip chop is, because fuck me. If 30,000 of landed in Kent, they'd be pulling their hair out, wouldn't they? Well, they're not in Kent; they're in Russia, firing at Ukraine. Same flipping difference in my book. Sorry, bit of a rant there, but there you go. It is the same.
Yeah, and look, not only do we have essentially Ukraine defending the entire EU right now. They're not even being invited to join the gang. Yeah, you can defend us, and you can sacrifice your own people, in the process of defending us, but you can't join our gang. Yeah, it does my head in, mate.
Did you see the article from Zelensky, the European, what's it to UK? He said, well, they'll never join NATO because they won't do it. And he's been around NATO for, he says, 10 years now, and they just won't do it. Well, enough's enough. If you can't see it now, I don't know what is. It's time for them to be part of NATO, be part of Europe, and come under the same umbrella as everybody else. And like I said earlier, clear the skies in Ukraine. It wouldn't take NATO long to do it. Jesus Christ, we've got over 1,000 jets on the continent. Well, just put half of them towards Ukraine, and that'll be sorted inside of a couple of hours, I would suggest. But we're not going to do it, are we? Anyway, Brent, shall we sort of bring that to a close and move on to other stuff?
I reckon it's numbers time, Firefly. You don't happen to have them, do you?
Ah, you see, there you go. You read my mind. Hold on 2 seconds. Right, the numbers for today, people. So 1,330 personnel, which is slightly down, but still up there. So 4 tanks, that's nice. 3 armored combat vehicles, lovely, lovely. 59 artillery systems. Brent, remind me to talk about artillery systems in a little while. 4 MLRS, 7 air defense systems, 1,811 operational tactical UAVs, obviously after that attack the other day, 4 ground robotic complexes, which is always nice. This is the one I look for every day. 416 automotive and fuel tanks. So they're still smacking the shit out of Crimea. 1 special equipment unit. That's the thing. Do you want the Air Force report? Which is not good
Yeah,
reading.
come on. Yeah, let's do it.
No, it's not good reading. On the night of 6th of August, 1800, the 5th, the enemy attacked with 2 Onyx anti-ship missile launch areas of the TOT AR Crimea, 2 KH-31P anti-radar missiles. Hang on, sorry. Anti-radar launch area airspace over the Black Sea. 101 Shahed attack UAVs, most of them jet, and the usual culprits. The air attack was repelled by all the usual things: missile troops, electronic warfare, and unmanned systems units, mobile fire groups. According to preliminary data as of 0900, Ukraine defenses shot down, suppressed 66 enemy UAVs. Hits of 29 attack UAVs and 1 Onyx missile recorded at 18 locations, as well as falling of fragments down in local areas. So not a good location. Not very good, I'm afraid to report, mate. Sorry.
So there were no cruise missiles in that report. Is that right, Firefella?
I can't see any, mate. You go and read it, but I can't see it. I
Right.
might.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean, Russia's obviously worked out that that Ukraine has got a pretty good success rate of taking those down. So they're using the one. Well, obviously they're continuing to use drones, but the main weapon now is the one thing that they know that there's very little Ukraine can do about, and they're going to continue to do that, and they're going to do it with North Korea's help, and everyone else is just going to stand around and say, "Yep, good luck, guys. Good luck, Ukraine," and it's just bullshit. But there you go. We can move on now, Firefellow, if you like. If you got
Absolutely.
any?
So one thing I wanted to talk about was, and they talk about artillery, and Mockers has talked about it quite a lot. So Ukraine day by day is taking out artillery systems, and they, like you said, they're hitting the muzzles. Yeah.
Archer. Yep.
No, the barrels. That's what the word I'm looking for.
The barrels. Yeah. Yep.
So now we were talking about Bloke earlier about defence industries. So the UK can't make barrels up to 18 months ago, and then the UK government bought Sheffield Steel, and at the time everybody went, "What are they doing that for?" Well, I'll tell you why they're doing it, people, because we're now supplying barrels, brand spanking new ones, to Ukraine. We've sent
For
4.
the M777s, yeah, BSA was doing that. Yeah, good.
Absolutely. So, but bloke, we'd forgotten how to do it, and it's taken us 2 years to remember how to do it. Get the plant back up and running, and get people relearning all the skills that need to do it. So they've sent 4 as the first batch. Now this is going to sound really bad and like, so they've been issued an order for 180. They've sent the 4 as quality tests to send over there and see what the Ukrainians think of them. So they've actually delivered them now. So that I'm really pleased about that. And now they'll start producing the barrels. But again, a little thing that we'd shut down to save money, as all Western governments have been doing, and not good. So we got no way of making barrels. Well, we have now. So at least we're starting back up. Just a little point. Sorry, bit of a tangent, I know, Brad, but there you go.
No, good for you guys. I mean, like, we have a plant here in Quebec that could be making 155 ammunition, and has somehow not done it due to lack of orders for 4 years. So you're doing well.
No, and all across Europe, the people are starting to. I mean, there's no what was it, shell hunger anymore, is there? We don't hear that, Brent, anymore. because Europe has actually stood up little by little all across the continent. Little factories are starting to build them, and now Ukraine doesn't have to worry about 155 shells anymore, or 120s, or the other stuff. So it's starting to come back. But there you go.
Yeah,
Right. So
and
go on.
sorry, but I was just going to say that's a positive. But again, it just sort of reinforces what we were saying earlier. You know, they're doing the bare minimum. They're doing enough to keep Ukraine in the fight. You know, have some ammunition, have some shells, have some small bore ammunition. You know, that stuff isn't an issue. The fact that those barrels are being replaced is brilliant, right? Because we know that that needs to happen. And I think Russia's struggling with that. Um,
Well, so the ones in Russia are all bent, mate. So they do
yeah,
build them.
exactly,
They do
exactly.
build them. They're just quality control is not very good. And people got to remember a 777 howitzer. It's only got a certain amount of shells it can fire because the amount of pressure in those barrels, when you eject fire a shell out of it, is enormous. So it's not just normal steel. There's a definite process, and it needs to be the correct metallurgical compr- uh, components put in there to make sure that it doesn't fail. Because the last thing you want is put a shell in there, hit the fire button, and it go bang because you just wiped out a crew. So it's really important. It's just too little, too late. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, mate. Hey, if we want to move on, I to a to a better news story. I'm not sure whether it was covered yesterday, Firefly. Please tell me if I'm repeating old news. The flying wing, the Bravo, the new strike drone that Ukraine have. Did you talk about that yesterday? I only caught half the show yesterday.
No, we only touched on it, and I want to talk about stuff that's burning.
Okay, well, I'll just quickly cover this because this is a good thing. This is a new strike drone. As I said, it's called the Bravo for now. They may give it a more adventurous name. It's a jet-powered deep strike kamikaze drone. It's got an operational range of up to 2,000 kilometres. It's got a cruising speed of between 600 and 700 k's, depending on the size of the payload. The payload is between 1 and 200 kilograms, which is nothing to sneeze at. And the cost of these things is about €300,000. It's been developed. It's an indigenously developed drone. So again, Ukraine looking after Ukraine because no one else is going to. It's been developed by a company called Triada Robotics. They're a local Ukrainian defense technology company. Now, this flying wing has been made out of composite materials and it has a very good RCS, a very low radar cross section. So if it flies low, that's going to make it very difficult for Russia to intercept. They've been testing it. I've got no idea on what sort of numbers they have, what their production lines are like, but sounds like a good thing, Firefella.
Certainly has, and another's come up. I don't know if he wants to add anything about this. There you go. Go ahead, mate.
Yeah, so one of my former students did a group design project at Imperial for a drone which has similar features in terms of payload, range, low observability, etc. So there's a group design project, about 20 students working it. Passed it over to some people in Ukraine. It was just like, this is actually a pretty good project, apart from the way they manufactured, which is an absolute dog's dinner because it comes out at £4 million roughly per drone. A lot of that's the optics package, which obviously you don't need on a kamikaze. But yeah, hopefully someone looked at that and then went to the actual other supervisors at Imperial and said, hey, this low observable super long range thing seems quite useful. Any chance Imperial can help us out, or someone in the defense industry can help us out? And yeah, so I think Britain has somewhat lost the lead in terms of leadership in like demonstrating supplying stuff to Ukraine of late because we seem to change government every month. But we have a track record in delivering. And I would say I think this winter we are resigned here in Kyiv to it being really, really tough. But actually, there is a glimmer of hope, and that glimmer of hope comes with a British flag behind it, and it's called Project Brakestop. So there were three drones, well, not drones, sorry, three missiles in final testing I imagine the MOD will select two of them. I would project they choose the jet-powered one and the Textron propeller-powered one. But those things have the potential for counter battery fire against these transporter erector launchers that Russia hammered us with the night before last here in Kiev. So all I'd say is just like it's a small thing. Like I'm going onto LinkedIn, I'm just be like, the three companies. I'm just like you guys at Textron, UGR, whatever. I'm just cheering you on because frankly, this winter's going to be dark, but you're the only potential source of light. So yeah, cheer on the engineers of those teams. If you see any posts about them about Brakestop, cheer those guys on and be like, you're not just doing your job, you're giving innocent Ukrainian civilians hope. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that new drone Ukraine have, it's turbine powered. Well, one of the British companies, before they were doing missiles, they just made gas turbines for basically target drones. So jet engines, mini jet engines. So I really hope that when this is all over, we find out that Britain's been doing a lot more than it's publicly said. And I know there's a lot of money there for it. You can Google things like Task Force Hearst, Task Force Kindred, which is essentially to pay mad scientists in the UK to come up with crazy stuff, find a way to work with Ukraine, and test it on orcs.
Yeah, that sounds good, Nada. And look, I hope you're right in terms of what is happening behind the scenes that we're not aware of, because we've just spent a bit of time whinging about the the lack of the inaction from Ukraine's air quotes EU partners. Perhaps there is more that's going on that will come out sort of after the fact. I bloody hope so, right? Because from where we're standing at the moment, it really looks like Ukraine's been hung out to dry. But perhaps not. Perhaps there's a lot more that is going on behind the scenes that we.
Well, I can talk about the UK. I just hope the other countries are doing it. Like the briefings I was at, it's like one of the briefings I was at about Brakestop, which is these 500-kilometer, advertised range. We lie about our weapons. We just lie differently to the Russians. But that was a UK official briefing. It's not sensitive, so I'm free to talk about what's in there. The only request they had is like, can you please not talk about this for a while because we don't actually know how much money we have. We know we have a lot, but we don't know how much we have, and we don't want to keep changing our story every week. So nothing I'm saying is sensitive. It is UK official. It was just a courtesy. I mean, this briefing was like 3 years ago now, over 3 years ago, and we're finally seeing it coming to bear in terms of there are three ground launch, long range, heavy hitting cruise missile concepts being tested somehow, somewhere. I don't know how and where, but like it's in the public domain that the UK MOD have down selected to the three finalists. I don't know whether they're going to select one, two, or all three. I would suspect they select two. I would suspect they would do on the basis of two things. They will choose the Textron one because Textron already make aircraft engines like regular piston ones, and they can do it at enormous scale. So I reckon that's going to be one, and I reckon the other one is this small startup, and the reason for that is it's jet powered, much more of a supply chain risk. If they fail, they can just buy more of the Textron ones, who will be able to ramp production easily. But that one's going to be fucking fast. So quantity has a quality of its own, which is why I think they will choose Textron for one. But the capability of having something which is really bloody hard to shoot down may be the reason they go for the gas turbine one. Once again, I'm just speculating. I have no particular knowledge beyond briefings to the members of the ADS group in the UK, which is the Aerospace Defense and Security Group. So that was a trade body we're a member of. So once again, this is nothing confidential. It's all in the public domain. If you just know where to look for it.
Yeah,
But I hope you're doing something similar.
that's just thanks, and it's good to see that UK are doing more, and it's actually brought to mind something that I was thinking about earlier, and I know it's early days, but you've got a new prime minister, which I'm sure you're aware of.
Yeah.
Do you
Thanks for
do you
reminding us, mate.
think that things are going to change, and perhaps the level of support is going to? Do you think this the support that the UK are providing uh, to Ukraine, whether it be overt or covert, is going to change under this new guy, or is it too soon to tell?
I don't think it's going to change. I mean, that money for like Project Brakestop is committed. It's already, that's already committed. Burnham has said he's not going to change any prior commitments. The UK's contribution to the International Drone Capability Coalition, also previously committed. We co-lead that with Latvia. Once again, Burnham has said, I am not going to withdraw any commitment the UK has. And if anything, I think he will increase it because the UK support for Ukraine is not political, it is cultural. It is not a left versus right versus centre issue here, and apart from reform. These elections, the politicians understand the electorate. They do their polling, and they know whether it's left or right supporting Ukraine is deeply popular. So they will get hammered in the elections if they are seen or accused of withdrawing that. So yeah, fortunately, being a Brit, we're lucky that it's not a party political issue like it is in many countries like America or Germany or whatever. It's just not a party political issue, with the exception of reform. So I don't see anything changing. What we'll see is the usual, which is when the Conservatives are in power, the Labour Party attack them for not doing more and doing it efficiently enough. And then when that switches, the Conservatives then attack the Labour Party for not doing more and not doing it efficiently enough. So I think it's just very much the same. The only thing I would say is we have lost the leadership position in terms of demonstrating new capabilities for Ukraine. Like the 14 Challenger tanks that we gave them, they will make no strategic. They were never going to make any strategic difference in themselves. The reason they were important is they unlocked the Challengers and to a lesser extent the Abrams. It's the same with our NLAWs. It's the same with our artillery. We never gave enough to make a meaningful difference on the battlefield in themselves. It was their strategic effect was a spur it gave to our allies to follow us, because they'd be like, oh, escalation. Britain would give them stuff. It's like, oh, Britain's still not nuked, so maybe we can do it too. And I hope we regain our position, our leadership position, in being the first to give Ukraine a new capability, but also recognizing that we don't have the money and resources to really fill it out. So like Project Brakestop, it's going to be great. It's a sovereign capability. No one can stop Ukraine from firing it at whatever they want. Maybe that's the case of going to Germans like, hey, how about those Tauruses now? Like, what's stopping you guys? Or if you're not going to give Taurus, why didn't you just pay Ukraine to make more of these British design missiles? Or why didn't you do your own bloody project?
Yeah, I'd love to actually see the Tauruses in action. It's interesting. I reported earlier that about Rheinmetall potentially being given a license to produce ATACMS.
Well, even for you Aussies, it's just like, okay, if Britain's giving long range precision deep strike targeting 3, you have something called Foxbat.
Yes,
It's
yes.
a why didn't we give Ukraine Foxbat? Or why did you give Ukraine Foxbat? Because that will really give the Russians a fucking bad day.
No, you make a very good point. And along the same lines, we could have provided another 100 Bushmasters. I'm sure, or several hundred. I'm sure Ukraine would have made very good use of those. But all good questions. I don't have an answer. Firefella, you mentioned something about fires before.
Yeah, can you hear me? That's the first thing.
Yeah, mate. Yeah, nice and clear.
Okay, just to go back to your point, so that's a new production, notwithstanding that the UK has opened 2 drone factories, am I right in saying, recently? One north, one in Wales, is that right?
So, of what is in the public domain is that Skyton and Ucrospec Systems have factories in the UK. Both of them make fixed wing ISR drones. More recent modifications have turned them into like the ability to be bombers. So that's public. There's a company called Seos, which is a hybrid UK New Zealand company. I know they're making drones. I don't know how good they are. I've seen one of their large FPV drones shit the fucking bed when up against Russian EW when they were red teamed by the Ukrainians. But apparently there's a rumor that they might make a half decent naval drone, and that they're working on other drones. But frankly, I'm not focused on Seos because the Ukrainians know best. So I think it's most important. It's not who's making drones for Ukraine. It's where those companies who are doing it in the UK come from. And Ukraspec and Skyton have battle tested and most importantly battle proven products. I hope we soon get to add Textron and UGI to that list of battle proven. And the difference between Skyton and Ukraspec versus Textron and UGI is that would be legitimate British first companies proving themselves in combat vaporizing orcs inside Russia. So I'm sure there are many more who don't talk about it, like UGI. I've known about them for a long time. They only came out of stealth mode about what they were doing for Ukraine, like literally in the last year. So maybe others will come out of stealth mode that I'm not aware of.
No, thank you for that, mate. I was just making the point. So this is extra and above what the UK is already doing, which is fantastic news. Now, as the stuff that's burning, Brent, Yarosol oil refinery is on fire as a result of a UAV attack. So the oil refinery produces about 15 million tons of oil per year and is amongst the top 5 largest refineries. The product ranges include automotive gasoline, diesel fuel, Euro 5 standard, aviation kerosene, that's always important because we don't want the orcs flying around, fuel for jet engines, a wide range of oils, bitumens, and the usual other stuff. Previously, the plant was repeatedly subjected to Ukrainian strikes, and in 2026, it was hit at least 6 times. And there is a picture in the nest, people, and I can assure you it's birthing rather nicely. Now, one thing I haven't seen today is the wild berries, which I'm really disappointed about, Brent,
I think
losing their
I think
touch.
there was a wild berries hit, or was that yesterday's news? Now I'll have to.
Now that was yesterday on the night before, and that was epic. That one.
Right, so we've given them the day off today, have we?
Well, it would seem so, but I'm sure they'll be back at it rather shortly. There is a little bit of other news that I've seen. So remember the lady that was in charge of the bank, the Russian central bank,
Yes, I do. I can't. Her name escapes me, but yeah.
Irina Nabibilina, has been taken out. Russia has placed the former vice president of the Central Bank of the Russian Federation on the wanted list for alleged embezzlement of 4 billion rubles. Of course, she was nicking the money all the time, people. Of course, she was. No, she wasn't. Along with her is Yuri.
Actually,
Sorry,
actually, it's not her. It's her deputy.
I was just getting to that bit.
Sorry, yeah, it's not Elvira. It's her deputy that's in trouble. Apparently.
Finish it up, sweet. Go on.
Oh right, okay. So it was Prune. I got this information from, but of course she always provides a source, which is where is it here? It is one of the main publications. Of course, she's very prolific, so now I'm having to find it. Commissant, I believe, was the source. And basically, her deputy, and I don't have his name just now because I'm still looking for it, is
Yuri Islev.
that fella. Yes, Yuri Iziev or something. So her former deputy at the central bank has been placed on the wanted list in connection with the embezzlement of 4 billion rubles. Now, there was actually a whole bunch of people from the central bank that got themselves into trouble around October last year, and this appears to be the fallout from that. So he was appointed the central bank's leadership at the request of the FSB. Well, would you believe that he was embezzling money? Of course he was. He resigned from his post August the 1st, 2022, and left Russia. So in October 2025, Andrei Melnikov from the Deposit Insurance Agency was arrested. He'd taken over from Yuri Isiev when he went to the central bank. So it seems that everybody's in trouble. And the DIA people, Deposit Insurance Agency, have now been appointed a new head who is probably also going to embezzle from them. But it does seem tied to the arrests in October that this guy is now being implicated. But they won't get him because he pissed off. He's not in the country. There you go. Right. I'm going to go to work now. Bye.
Thank you, Mockers. Yeah, so all not well at the Russian Federation Central Bank. And I should think not, because their economy's in the toilet, Brent.
Yeah, is it, mate? Is it really? It's actually amazing that it's held up as long as it has, I know that there's probably a whole lot of creative accounting going on that is actually keeping it afloat, and at some point it's going to fall off a cliff, Firefella, and let's hope that's sooner rather than later. But given the extent of the sanctions, which by the way, could be. I think we do need a few more rounds of sanctions, Firefella. When we were looking at the ballistic missile situation, and we were looking at the factories that make Russia's ballistic missiles. None of those facilities are sanctioned at all. I was absolutely gobsmacked to hear that.
Yes, I do actually, Brent. Yeah. How can you have a war against a country and not put their missile production under sanctions? I mean, talk about a foobar. And also, we got to get Mocker's second favourite subject in the world, the first being cats, is Alumina 22 on the next sanction list, because that little war has not finished yet. And the Irish government is still drawing it out and using every single Vatnik blocking method going to stop it happening. But I'm sure we'll get there eventually.
Is there an update on that, mate? The last I'd heard was that the Irish government had released a report. It was deemed classified. A copy had been leaked. I think it was a Caelan had managed to get a hold of that. That's my understanding.
So as far as I know, that report had nothing in it, and subsequently it was leaked by the Irish Times over the weekend following that. And basically, the Irish government is putting it off for the European Union to make the decision as to whether this stuff goes to Russia or not. And everybody's going, "Don't be idiots." But the Irish government's position is, well, we can't tell whether it actually goes to Coke cans or UAVs. We're not sure, and
so
they're going down that track now. Yeah, absolutely pathetic, mate.
So this is politicians just protecting themselves locally. They're thinking about re-election and not wanting factories to close because jobs will go, and what is that going to put my career at risk? And so they've come up with well, it's not our decision, it's the EU's. Is that where we're at?
Absolutely, and notwithstanding the fact that they've all taken Russian money. I'm sorry, whether it's right or wrong, and everybody can take me to court or whatever. But that lot have all been bought by the Russians, and they can't come out with it directly because they'll get a visitation, Brent, and they're all scared as what's it. So they're all battening down the hatches and saying it's not our fault, we didn't know about it, and it doesn't go to Russian war production anyway. Which quite obviously it does, people. And poor old Ireland is not the only country in the EU that it's happening to, and everybody's keeping their mouth shut. Funny that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unethical is what it is. I mean the lack of doing nothing can be in context can be more unethical than actually working against Ukraine. Doing nothing to help Ukraine is as bad as working against Ukraine, if that makes sense, Five.
Sorry, on totally the wrong page. I'll be with you in a sec. Carry on.
You're right, mate. Yeah, no, I'm just sort of saying, I mean, putting your fingers in your ears and going la 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 when Ukraine are in such a difficult situation right now is just as bad as, well, not just as bad as working for the Russians, but I'll tell you what, it's not much better. Is my point. And I'll move on. Now, what else did I have? I had a couple of little things on progress, or Russia's lack of progress, actually, so far this year. Ragnar, I think I might have retweeted this. Ragnar put out some good stats as he does every day. and he put out some month-on-month stats on territory taken for month-on-month for 2026 so far. And there's not much, and in fact, in June they went backwards. So Ukraine actually took some territory back. So Russia has been I know we've spoken about this in the past. Russia has been taking territory, not much though. We're talking 1 to 3 square kilometres per day. On average, I think with the exception of June, where they actually went backwards and Ukraine took more territory back than Russia was able to take, but at a cost of a lot of a lot of manpower. And I think I retweeted that. I probably should put that up in the nest actually, Firefella. But if we look at the losses that Russia have had in for 2026, that's increased every month. So month on month from January through to July, the Russian losses have been increasing steadily every month. With very little, they are taking ground. We've got to concede that, but at a very, very high cost, Firefella. Very high cost. Yeah, back to you.
Right, actually, somebody just sent me something, so just hold on a second. And there's uh, a thing in the Guardian. So NATO to urgently get air defences for Ukraine as Zelensky warns of surge in Russian missile production. After Ukraine failed to shoot down a single ballistic missile fired by Russia on Wednesday, the president urged allies to increase supplies of Patriot interceptors. So NATO is working to get Ukraine the air defense it urgently needs, its Secretary General said after Kyiv failed to shoot down a single Russian missile. Volodymyr Zelensky warned that Moscow was seeking to significantly boost missile production ahead of winter. Speaking at the National Security and Defense Council on winter resilience, the Ukrainian president did not rule out the idea that stalling missile supplies from Western allies were aimed at making Ukraine, so to speak, more willing to compromise in peace talks. Ooh. After the meeting, NATO's Mark Rutte, Zelensky said, it's important to cut through all the red tape and make the necessary political decisions. Literally, everyday people's lives here in Ukraine depend on the resolve of our partners in Europe and the United States. On Wednesday, Zelensky said that the first half of 26 supplies of air defense missiles from Ukraine's allies has fallen to a third of the level of 2025. The president also warned that Moscow was looking to significantly increase ballistic missile production as winter neared. So, doesn't look like there's anything concrete coming out of those talks, mate, but at least they're talking about it.
Yeah, I guess that's better than nothing. Just going back to those stats from Ragnar, mate, just because I managed to find the page. I've actually retweeted this, guys. I'll try to put it up in the nest in a sec. But casualties, this is Russian casualties for 2026, month on month. Let's trying to find some more positive news for Ukraine here. So there's been an increase for every month, and the increase is about 3K per month. So from January, if you look at Ragnar's month-on-month stats for the year to date for 2026, there's been, with the exception of February, obviously being a shorter month. So we started off January 2026 with the total Russian casualties being 31.7K. The most recent stats we have, and that's been steadily increasing all the way up to July, where we're looking at 42,600 troops for the month. So we've gone from 31,700 to 42,600 in 7 months. So those.
Hence why he's going for a mobilisation.
Well, yes. I mean that hasn't been announced, but we're. I mean the commentary is that's almost certainly going to happen, right? That's what I'm hearing.
No, me too. And it'll be their downfall, apparently. And I'm all for it. So mobilise away, you orc. Are they going to clothe them? Are they going to equip them? How they going to get them there? How they going to feed them? Just more meat for the grinder, mate. And at some stage, hopefully, somebody in the background is going to go, right, enough's enough, because this is getting stupid now. Well, it got stupid 3-4 years ago, I would suggest.
Yeah,
They lost more than they ever lost in Afghanistan, yet they're still at it.
they are paying a high price for not much gain, that's for sure. My understanding is, in terms of mobilisation, is that if a mobilisation is declared, sign-up bonuses no longer apply. That's I could be wrong there. That's what I've heard.
No, spot on.
Yeah. Okay. Good. That it's been posited that that's been one of the reasons why Russian leadership, and obviously in particular Putin, is reluctant to go there, because obviously he's concerned about pushback. The population actually starting to become more vocal. Although I don't know, you can't see, Russians don't seem to be built that way. They just seem to just accept their lot. You know, it's odd. They're a different culture. It's difficult for us to relate, I think, but they just seem to enjoy the suffering. Firefella, it doesn't. I don't understand it, but yeah, I mean, my understanding is that Putin is nervous about how the population will respond to a mobilisation, and the fact that there won't be sign up bonuses, and a lot of people will be dragged kicking and screaming up to the front with a bare minimum of training. So that isn't going to end well. But it's very unlikely that there'll be any kind of black swan event, is what I'm hearing. I mean, let's hope that's wrong, because the population are very compliant. They're very fatalistic. They're very different to us, mate. So they may very well just go along with it.
No, absolutely. You're absolutely right, Brent. So let's tease this out. His concern is not about the people going to the front and dying. That he doesn't care about that in the slightest. All he wants is to be able to say, we've taken another 2 foot here and another 10 foot there, which is basically what they're doing. I mean, they're sending blokes on flag mounting things all over the shop, just so that they can film it and say, look, we put a new flag up in a new village, which is like 2 or 3 houses. What he's worried about is the political fallout within his country. You're absolutely right, insofar as that there will be no signing up bonus, which is why half of them signed up anyway, because they all think they're going to get paid. Well, they don't, because they get to the front last 20-25 minutes, and guess what? Their commander takes the payments because he's already got their cards, because you have to give your card in before you can go to the front, because he knows you're going to die. Quite literally, they know that they're going to die. So all the people in the 5 or 6 kilometers behind the front line are making thousands of rubles, because they're sending blokes to the front, and everyone they send to the front they get a payout on. That's how this works, people.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Just on that. Well, I guess it's related to that. Trying to keep the leadership happy, and trying to keep Putin, sort of convinced that Russia are prevailing, and they're doing well. I saw a report. I saw some footage, Firefella, of a Russian guy. It was drone footage of a Russian guy on the ground waving a flag, and I didn't write down the name of the town, but it was essentially it was meant to be proof that this particular village had been captured. When Ukraine analysed that footage, you find that if you go through frame by frame, you get to a certain frame, and the bloke waving the flag and the flag completely disappear. It was AI. The whole thing was fabricated. He was never there, and so that's the sort of tactic they seem to have resorted to try to convince their commanders that they're actually having more success than is reality. That's a bit sad, Firefella.
No, I've seen that as well. So AI generated flag uh, planting videos is a thing. Because then you can report up to your nearest and dearest. Oh well, we're doing all right on the front, boss, and he reports up and da 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 da. So it's all built on, most of Russia is, it's all built on absolutely crap foundations, and that's why they are going to lose, people. Absolutely, are they?
It's an odd culture, isn't it? They're all sort of lying to each other to make sure that they're okay, and they're not going to be sent off to some suicidal job, or on some sort of suicidal mission. They're all lying to each other, or at least exaggerating, and they all know that they're all lying to each other and exaggerating, but they just all seem to play along with it. Fella, it's very, very odd.
Certainly. So let me go into my bookmarks a second. Hang on, I've got something to say here. So there was a. Let me find it first. Oh, you know that assassination attempt at the restaurant the other day.
Yep,
You remember that?
yep.
Well, there's a couple of graves that have suddenly appeared in a high-ranking cemetery for no reason. Yet they have said nobody died. Well, the bloke's dead, or somebody's dead. So Russian Lieutenant General Igor, I can't say that name, has kicked the bucket, and he received the rank of Lieutenant General only a few weeks ago. What a shame! What an absolute shame!
Yeah. That's yeah. Thoughts and prayers. Hey.
Totally agree. I can't find it now. It's doing me anyway. What happened was a Russian who was in Ukraine has joined the Russian army, and he went through all the meat grinder and sent back to the village that he was brought up with, only to find it absolutely leveled by the Russians. And now he's crying. Well, shit happens, mate.
Yep. Indeed. Right now, let me have a look here. I was going to have a look at some of the Max reports to see if there's anything significant that we haven't covered, Firefella. Did you have any more fires that have caught your attention that you wanted to talk about?
No, I've been trying in the background. I've been trying to find any news on any more wild breeds, but I can't find anything that's been splattered today. So I'm annoyed with that.
I see in Max's news that Ufa has been hit. That would make, and I don't know whether this is a repeat or whether it's a fresh attack, because if that's the case, it's been 3 days in a row that they've gone back to Ufa. So there can't be much of Ufa left if that's the case.
Wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me in the slightest.
So yeah, so that's good news if that's the case. Or although I'm not sure whether it could be old news, because I think you guys were talking about a refinery hit at Ufa yesterday, weren't you? So
Yeah, we were.
they've
So
either revisited it, or it's a double up on my part. Sorry, go ahead, mate.
So there's a fire reported in Moscow region at the Roscosmos Main Research Institute in Korolov. I don't know what they produce, but looks well on fire. Let's put it that way. So Ukraine are still busy at work. That's the main thing.
Okay, on oil refineries, I can tell you that Saratov is cold, is what I'm seeing. I can see Will's in listener. He's got a day off though. I don't expect him to come up and a thumbs up would be nice, Will, if you're near your phone. But Saratov seems to be cold, so that's good news if that's the case. Another little point here from Max is that look, that's actually I didn't make a note of this, but oil refining capacity is I was reading that's now getting close to 50%, which has got to be having an impact, mate. So that's good news. And in fact, Russia are buying in petrochemical products now, aren't they?
Have been for a while. They've been sending it to China, and Belarus have been doing it as well, haven't they?
So what? They're
Uh,
sending the crude to China, and
Crude,
okay,
and they're buying back refined product, aren't they?
okay,
Because they can't sell. They can't. He's banned petrol, diesel, and aircraft fuel being sold, doesn't he? It's only crude now.
yep, okay. Max helpfully points out that oil refinery strikes so far have cost the Russian budget 1.2 trillion rubles. I'm not sure how your ruble to euro or pound or dollar conversion is. 1.2 trillion rubles sounds like a lot of money to me, but I'm not sure how that. Yeah, is there? Go for it. You can probably help out with that.
Oh, no, I had to have something else, not the conversion, not the
Yep, go
currency.
for it.
Oh, okay. So the other news is that a Russian drone manufacturer was car bombed today, and he's in a pretty serious condition. Um, so that was in Yekaterinburg. His driver and his bodyguard were killed, but I think he's in a he's in intensive care and in a serious condition. His company produced the Ghoul drone, like I don't know, and they've been producing drones for many years. That's it. That's it from me.
Thanks. I hadn't seen that. I'm just having a quick look now. So this is fairly recent news, is it said?
Yes, it must have happened overnight on August 5. Happened August 5. So
Okay, well that's a terrible shame.
yes.
A little bit of an update. So I'm seeing that Tula's was raspberries, raspberries. It is raspberries now. Tula's wild berries is completely well alight from one end to the other. I don't know if that's old news, but I haven't got my bingo card close to me. But that seems to be another hit last night, mate.
I have and this may not be the latest bingo card. I've got a bingo update from Beefeater, which is probably 24 hours old, getting close to it. So it may not be up to date, but I'm looking at so this particular bingo card because I've seen a couple of different versions of them. This one has got the top 30 wild berries warehouses in Russia, and I'm seeing 3, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'm seeing 18 out of 30 wild berries factories that are toast. That's what I'm seeing. So that's got a sting, Firefella. 18 out of 30.
Well, we're getting close to 30 out of 30, aren't we? Which is what they're going for. And I do believe that's a new hit, Tula. So I've just seen another bingo card and I can't see that one on there. So that's excellent. So, yeah, they're back at it all day, every day, people. And just that's going to muck up their logistics in it because half the Russian army is supplied through these wild berry entities. So I'm all for it.
Sorry, sticky mic there. They were hitting the competitor Ozone as well, right? I know they hit at least one of those. I don't know whether that was just a one-off, mate, or are you have you got any info on that?
So I think what happened with that was there was an ozone and a wild berries that were quite close to each other. They missed the wild berries that they were going for and accidentally on purpose hit the ozone, and that's the first one that's gone. I've seen a card. I don't see that they're hitting them sequentially at the moment. I think they're just going for the wild berries to start with. And once they're finished with all them, then they'll move on to the ozones. But there's 20 or 30 of them. But already the Russians are starting to move stuff out of these wild berries and move them to different locations because they know that it's done. And there was a report from Crimea the other day of a wild berries reception centre that was absolutely void of any product whatsoever. All they had was return stuff, and they weren't even allowed to report that back as well. They had to keep quiet that they were out of stock because Russian propaganda can't have the fact that all this wildberry stuff that's been ordered, and paid for is never going to get to where it's supposed to. But there you go, that's Russia for you.
Well, you got to think that wild berries as a going concern is no longer a going concern at this stage, surely. Um, uh, if Firefella, if I and it's above my pay grade, obviously, but if I had access to a red pen and if I was allowed to circle shit with a red pen, I would be I mean, it's great that they're hitting Wiberys, and I understand why they're doing it. From a logistics point of view, from a dual purpose uh, product point of view. I think that's a very good thing. They're continuing to hit refineries, which is like hurting them financially. Again, a very good thing, and hurting their ability, their warfighting ability. More importantly, although China are doing their best to try to counter that, but still, I think they should press on, and they are. But if I had a red pen, and if I was able to circle shit, I mean, surely the next thing, and well, a priority would have to be, we talk about the Archer and the Arrow, right? And we look at the damage and the ballistic missiles are causing. And we spoke earlier about the fact that these factories that are producing the ballistic missiles aren't on the aren't, we're up to the 22nd round of sanctions, right? And for reasons entirely unknown to me, these places aren't yet on the sanctions list. They should be circled with red pens. So the places that are making these ballistic missiles. Airfields where the delivery systems, so the Tupolovs that are being housed, should have big red circles around them. Fixed launch facilities, so ICBM silos, red circles around them. Plenty of targets still in Russia that Ukraine can be, as they're developing more lethal drones, and we were talking before about the Bravo. Plenty of targets, Firefella, that Ukraine can continue to hit and continue to impact Russia's warfighting ability. Another, go for it.
I'd say circles and publish them, put them out there. Personally, I use orange, but I was at a conference, sort of organized by Ziggerspor, Victory Drones, and stuff like that. And someone from RAID talked about how they used OSINT to essentially identify targets, and then how they use Russians to do their battle damage assessment, because the Russians love taking photos of their own country on fire. But yeah, no, they literally trawl social media for red circles, orange circles, or whatever. Obviously, they don't just take anything that's on social media. They assess the quality of the output and the expertise of the person who is doing it. Obviously, how they do that is, they don't disclose. But yeah, they were just like, yeah, we look on social media. In terms of finding targets, we look for people who have expertise or seem to know what they're talking about, and then find interesting targets. So it's kind of like a human version of mixture of experts with AI, except it's not AI, it's human intelligence. And you have some dumb models and smart models, and obviously they triage the smart humans versus the dumb humans, just as people triage frontier AIs versus old and outdated little AIs. So yeah, draw circles or do something like, oh, not so much sure about circles, but I know about fire suppression. They will have a really, really hard time stopping this thing from burning because, I don't know, they don't have the right fire suppression equipment, stuff like that. Because, this guy from RAID is like, yeah, we literally trawl this stuff. We have techniques to basically find targets and then see how successfully we hit them. So yeah, I personally use orange to draw circles. I focus exclusively on stuff related to making composites because that's my subject matter expertise. And then I can see Will Teal down there. I'll be like, hey, Will, I think this. What do you think? And Will's like, yep, draw an orange circle around that. Sounds about right. So yeah, draw circles and explain why you've drawn circles. And if you're not drawing circles, explain if someone else has drawn circles, gone, yeah, if this thing goes up, it's going to be really hard to suppress.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
draw
absolutely,
circles.
right. And as I was saying, there are still plenty of targets out there. And a lot of them, we have the coordinates. Ukraine have the coordinates. They know exactly where they are. They have the delivery systems, the long range drones, the kamikaze drones to basically go pretty much anywhere in Russia now, right?
Yeah, but even more detail. So, for example, I've looked at like the Alabuga composite production facilities. Ukraine know where they are as well. And I'd be like, you know where this is, but do you know what this particular feature on this Alabuga PowerPoint presentation is? That's a solvent recovery column. Hit that. Specifically, don't just hit the plant, hit that part of the plant.
Yeah, and look, one you'd have to assume that they've got a, you know, they've got a big prioritized list. And they don't know, they don't need us to tell us, you know, sort of these things. And I'm sure they're onto it. Be good to see it start happening, you know, and then let's hope it starts happening soon. You know, these ballistic missile attacks, you know, they can't. Something's got to be done. Um, it's easy for us to sit here in the West and you know, and suggest things, and you know, that's you know, we're obviously doing it with the best of intentions and trying to help. But look, I'm sure that the Ukrainian war planners have you know, we sort of sit here and we wonder, you know, why haven't they hit this plant yet? Why? And, look, I'm sure that there are good reasons, you know, and I'm sure that, you know, they have plans in place. We've got to assume that they do. They're not, you know, they've been doing a pretty good job so far of holding off a much larger army. So they certainly they know what they're doing, and I'm sure that they will get to these targets, these sites we're talking about. You can only assume that they're on the list, and they will get to them. You know, in good time, and at their own time. Firefella, did you have anything else? Because I reckon, speaking of time, I reckon we're over
That's
time.
just about us, isn't it? Yeah. So just a couple of points on that. Thank you, Nother. Keep with the orange stuff, mate, because it's all helping. So if anybody wondered what the general staff of an army does, it's this sort of stuff: target identification and planning, because the wild berries is a strategic plan in it. Magyar's on it, and he's sorting them day by day. And yes, it was another one. And just a little thing on wild berries now. So the management, get this, have started nicking stock because they know that they're going to get it, and then putting it down as, oh no, that was all burnt in the fire. So it's so bloody Russian. I can't. I'll take my hat off to them. And on that point, yeah, we're past our sell point date and all done. Thanks for the show, Brent. Really good. Thanks for the chat. Thank you, Nother. Excellent, and all the talkers, especially bloke from Canada. Keep it up. I wish everybody the best today, and Slava Ukraini.
Heroim Slava.
Herum Slava, yeah, and thank you, Firefella, for sitting with me. It's been good. Slava Nazi.
Smut Voraham.
Spurred for Laham.
Metraham.
Okay.
All right.
And Prince, what's
Go ahead.
what's on the agenda?
What's on the agenda? What's coming up next is genocide in Ukraine at 8 p.m. Eastern time, which I believe is 2 a.m. Kiev, 3 a.m. Kiev, excuse me. And for Nancy and I will, of course, be joined by a speaker named Gina. And we will have our weekly conversation there. And then at 11 p.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Kiev, will be Smokey Jeff and Will with This Week in Absurdistan, followed by Firefella and Mockers for their regular 2-hour segment of Booms Woe. So that is what we have coming up next. And they're just double checking. Yep, nope, nothing else. That's what we've got. So we will see you all later today or tomorrow, depending on how you look at it. And with that, I think I will just say, Skoropobochima.
Hippopotamus. Thanks, everybody.